with them, and some ingredients, we're going to show you how you can find some ingredients from elsewhere outside the normal kitchen. A little bit of foraging, a bit of Bear Grylls type foraging around, but you have to be careful with these things. So we'll go through some of the do's and don'ts of that today as well. In the meantime, we're going to have a bit of fun making these foods and learn a little bit as we go along. Before we begin, so let me just go onto today's slides. Let me send those ones live to you. So let me just show you. We've got the slides just coming in across here. There we go. We are doing a wild nettle soup is what I'm going to show you, but I'm going to show you lots of variations. If you haven't got nettles, I'm going to show you what we can do. I'm going to do it with wild nettle soup, and I'm going to do some cheese scones. So I'm going to be doing some wild garlic and wild nettle scones, but if you haven't got those, we just go with normal cheesy scones on this one. So that's what we're looking to do. But before we begin, we need to make sure we are ready to cook. And as you would do in school, you've got to make sure that everywhere is prepared and ready to go. And that's ready for your practical lesson. So get yourself ready, get your area ready, collect all your equipment together. And we use the abbreviation there. That was those little words there called HATI. Now, just a reminder, remember what HATI stands for. That is H for tie your hair back if you have long hair, wash your hands, put an apron on, make sure you've got all your clothes covered. T, clean your table areas. The area you're going to work on, make sure is it clean. If you cleaned it down before you start, please make sure you do so. Even more important at these times at the moment that everything stays clean and hygienic. It's always useful for the next T to have a tray to collect all your ingredients on and equipment. There we go. That's the I and the E. That's ingredients and equipment. For those of you who are watching at home, I'm using a Hodder education package called Exploring Food and Nutrition by Hodder for Key Stage 3. It's a brilliant package. We use it at Torquay Girls Grammar School. Highly recommend it there. So we're going to be getting ready for what we call mise en place. Mise en place. And mise en place is our getting ready before we start. So let's make sure we are all ready before we start. So I'm just going to let's get me back to you, and we're going to get ready together. So here we go. Let's go and get ready together. I'm just going to hop, skip, and a jump over to my sink over here. I'm going to get my kitchen over here. So here's my kitchen, and we're just going to get our hands washed and ready to go to start with, and then we're going to wear all the correct equipment. Okay, so oh, you might be able to notice in the background, if you just noticed there, if you look in the corner of my kitchen there, you can see some of the nettles that I went and picked yesterday. Lovely green nettles, but we'll show you some alternatives to that, and we'll show you how to work with those in a bit. In the meantime, let's get ready to cook. So before we start to cook, before we start to prepare food, we need to make sure our hands are washed. So using some soap, let's make sure we've washed our hands that way, what you might say the normal way, palm on palm. Then fingers, let's do the fingers, soap in there. Let's do our thumbs. Let's get right the way around there. Don't forget the back of your hands. Always people forget those in between your fingers there. Okay, and don't forget your wrists. So we've got soap all around us now. Now the next one, hot soapy water. We need to make sure we've got some hot soapy water there. So again, we're going to push our hands together, get the soap off that way. We're going to go in our nails, both sides there, in nails. We're going to go round our thumbs. And both the thumbs there. We're going to go back of hands. So I'm doing back of hands here. I'm going to go round my wrists. And for anyone watching, don't forget, it's 20 seconds is what we're looking for to make sure we've got properly clean hands there. So there we go. So I've properly cleaned my hands, ready to go. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my apron on. So I'm going to get apron on and get my my whites on, ready to cook. Make sure you've got yours as well. So let me just grab mine. There we go. Hot sunny days today, suffering a little bit from hay fever today, so apologies for the voice there. So I'm just suffering a little bit from the hay fever today because they've cut all the grass outside in the field next to us. So if I stumble a little bit there, apologies. Right, so I'm just going to get my chef whites on, and I'm going to get my apron on, same as you're going to get your aprons on to make sure you're protecting your food from you and yourself from the food there, so we can make sure we're properly there. Let me get all my clean whites on, ready for today's lesson. There we go, and my apron. There we go, tie that up. Oh, there we go. So hopefully you've all got your aprons on, your whites on. Now, if you haven't got all the ingredients today and you think, actually, no, there's no way I can cook today. I've got none of the ingredients that you said about last night, Mr. Man. I've got none of those available when we looked yesterday afternoon. That's fine. Watch along. Do this at another time. That's okay. But I'm going to show you alternatives as we go along as well. So don't worry about that. Please don't worry. Okay, so I'm back to my workstation here. and we're ready to go, I think. So we're ready to start looking at the ingredients we're going to need, and we're going to start to look at what equipment we're going to need, and we're going to show you how that's all going to go together. So let me introduce you to the recipe. I'm just going to pop that up on the screen there, and let's send that one live. There we go. Let's go there. We've done our mise en place. We've got ourselves ready. So just what we need to do next. There we go. Oops, there we go. There we go. Wild nettle soup. Now, how this is going to work? We're going to chop up some onions, and then once we chop the onions, we're going to fry. We're going to chop them up really, really small. I'm going to show you how to do that one very quickly. We're going to get a bit of garlic in there as well, if you've got some garlic, but don't worry, because we're going to might be able to use some wild garlic as well. So onion, if you've got garlic, you've got garlic. If you haven't, you haven't. In with the onion, we've got carrot and a potato. If you haven't got carrots, double up on the potato. If you haven't got potato, double up on the carrots. If you've got no potato or carrots, then look at some alternative root vegetables. And they could be frozen as well. So you could look at some frozen butternut squash or other types of root vegetables in there. So we're going to get the carrots and potato in there. So we've got onion, carrots and potato. We're going to sweat those off for 15 to 20 minutes, and that means we're going to be putting them into a pan. We don't want them to catch, so we're going to be turning them a little bit. We're going to pour in some stock. Now, I'm going to be putting some veggie stock in this. If you haven't got any veggie stock, you could put some chicken stock. If you haven't got chicken stock, then you can just put a couple of tablespoons of flour into that. That's fine. Then we're going to make that soup green. Now, if you haven't got nettles, that's fine. If you can always put spinach in there, you could put other green leaves into that one that you might want to. You could put watercress into that. Any kind of things that you want to. Kale goes nicely. Any kind of green vegetable. Now, if you've got none of those, that's fine. We just double up on our carrots, double up on a potato, and we make it carrot and potato soup as well. But if you've got the nettles, and it says 300, actually, that's maximum you're going to need. You probably only need about 250. So it's three, four large handfuls of nettles, but I'll talk you through that in a minute. Add the nettles in, gradually putting in, and we've got some wild garlic, it says there. Now, if you've got garlic in the top, doesn't matter if you haven't got any wild garlic. I'll show you the wild garlic. I've got some here, and I've got some, actually, I might use some better than wild garlic, or easy to find at the moment. We might put some some 3-corner leek, or what we call bell onions in, and I'll show you some of those as well. We're going to remove it from the heat. We're going to blend it all up into a puree, and we're going to serve it, and it should look something a little bit like number 10 on there, with some nice little flowers on there. Now, while we're waiting for things to simmer, we're also going to make some cheesy scones. Okay, so for this one, 125 grams of self-raising flour. But if you haven't got self-raising flour, that's not a problem. We can always use plain flour and put a bit of baking powder in there. If you haven't got baking powder, you can also use bicarbonate, sodium cream tartar. You can make this one with yeast as well. You could put some yeast into there. It does work. It takes a little bit longer. You do need to prove it, but the taste is quite a little bit different. But we can make do with this one to make things easier for you, to try and get these nice sort of scones to rise. Or scones or scones, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Cut the margarine into it. We're going to cutting in, rubbing in. We're going to stir in some cheese. We're going to bind all that back together with some milk. And then at that point, we can put in there then more nettles, wild garlic, bell onions, anything you've got to add that into the flavour there. We can season it, paprika, nutmeg, whatever you'd like to there. I might put a little bit of paprika into mine. Cut and turn that one, make those into the scones, and then we can have our scones with our soup. Bit like number 10 there. That's what we're kind of looking to get to. All right, so let me go back to me, and I will introduce you to what we are doing. Just have a quick look at that one before we begin. Let me just grab. There we go. All right, I think we're nearly ready to go, and we'll get started now. Here we go. Back to me, and going 3, 2, 1, and it is back to. He says, back to me. There we go. Right. So we are now going to be working through this recipe step by step, and we're going to be working through the nettle part to start with. All right. Now, to do the nettle part to start with, we need to work with an onion. Now, before we begin, salad leaves would work. That's how someone just said, would they work? Yes. If you've got any other questions, please pop them down the side there. Yes, that would be absolutely fine. With the salad leaves, we can work with that one. And The idea is we're going to adapt our recipes. I know we're in a tricky situation at the moment. I know some people still can't get out to supermarkets. I've not been out to a shop or driven a car for 5 weeks now because I went down in isolation a week before all the schools broke up. So we'll make do with what we've got, and that's why I'm starting to use things that are growing in the field just behind me here now, and starting to use other things. So that's what we're going to be trying to have a go at for you, and trying to make things easier for you all. Right, so let's start with the onion. So hello class, this is an onion. Okay, so we've got an onion here, and I am going to very quickly show you how to chop this onion so you do not hurt yourself. Now we talked about these before, but I'm going to just very quickly go through the chopping process for doing our onion here with you. Okay, so nice onion there. I'm going to just very quickly go through the process which I call the witch process to cutting this. Now we're going to be using if you've not done this one before, we're going to recap on this one for those who are watching at home on YouTube, and afterwards let me just go through what we're going to be doing here. With this onion, we're going to be cutting it. Now there are two methods of cutting. This is the bridge. Okay, now we put how this works. This bridge hold is what we do. We put our food between our thumb here and our fingers here, and in between those we run our knife, and our knife goes down the middle and cuts down away from our fingers. So that's our bridge, and we're going to be using a paring knife here, which is a smaller knife. You could use a larger chef's knife. This is a chef's knife. This is a paring knife. Let's hold those together so you can just see the difference there. So chef's knife or cook knife, and then we've got a paring knife. We need a smaller paring knife for today. Okay, and we're going to start with the bridge. Now the other one is called a claw. Okay, so what you do is you put your thumb right back, your fingers over the top. Okay, so thumb right back, fingers over the top, and you're making it into a claw like that. Now the knife in this case rests against the knuckle, your blunt side of the knife rests against the knuckle, and we're going to cut the den again away from our fingers, and the sliding action like that. So the blade never comes close to our fingers, apart from the blunt side just resting and pulling away. As you can see there, it's just going away from my knuckles. All right, so we're going to be using both the bridge and the claw today. So let me just write that one up on the board there. So you've got that one here. Let's write that on my board here. We've got the bridge and the claw. We're going to use both the bridge and the claw cuts with our potato and our carrots as well. So we've got bridge and claw up on the board there, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to try and cut our onion. Now, if you can imagine, the onion is a little bit like a witch. There is the pointed hat. I know I've done this before, but revisiting this for some people. We got a pointed hat at the top, and we have smelly feet on the bottom. Okay, and the parts that's going to make you cry is going to be these smelly feet down here. Okay, so we're not going to try and cut into those as much. We're going to try and stay as far away from these as possible when we cut this. So we're going to do only one cut that goes near it, and everything else we're going to stay well away so we don't cry. Okay, so there is my witch. Just draw her on. There we go. There she is. There we go. So we got our witch. Now the first thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing our bridge, and the first cut will be a bridge, and it's going to be straight down the middle of her, and that's number one, and that is our bridge. Now that's the first bit of our getting rid of our witch, but we need to make sure that we do the next bit as well. So number two will be the claw, and we're going to take her magic hat off. And that's number two, and that's our claw. So we've got number one, which goes down this way. Number two takes her magic hat off, not the feet. Okay, we're not doing the feet off, we're doing the magic hat. So let's show you that in practice on my board here. Now, obviously in the kitchen, before you start doing this one, make sure grown-up knows what you're doing and you're prepared with it. Maybe you've got grown-ups with you at the moment, so that would be great to know. Have we got people cooking with grown-ups with us today? It'd be great to know if you're there. Hello grown-ups, hello adults, I hope you're cooking or with them. That's always good to know. Maybe you're going to cook with them later on. I know some of you are going to be cooking later on tonight when your parents are back. That's great, or when they're out of meetings and out of work. You can show them this video back. All right, so here is our onion. Now this is the rooty end, this is our feet end, and this is the pointy end. Now it's to make our witch. Okay, so let me just draw that on there. You can see that's her witch's hat on the top, and that's there she is. There's our witch. Okay, so what we're going to do is first thing we're going to do is we're going to chop her in half. Now we're going to hold her around the tummy. Now when we hold her around the tummy, what's going to be happening is we're going to be forming that bridge. Okay, and then we're going to put our knife through that bridge and we're going to chop down. Now if you're a bit unsure about that and you're a bit unsafe, a bit thinking but don't know if I can do that one, it's a little bit scary, then the other option is you can get a fork and you can actually make your own bridge. So if you have a look on there, that's got 3 bridges already on there. So you can put that in there and then cut between the prongs of the fork. So I'm going to have a go with this one. I'm going to put my knife through the middle and I'm going to cut straight on around the tummy, cut straight down the middle. Straight down to it. It's probably the hardest of the ones at the moment. That's going to be the toughest cut. Okay, so I have now cut her straight down the middle. Now at this point, I'm going to be very quick. Very quick to put that flat down on the work surface. So here we go, 1, 2, 3, flat down on the work surface. So I'm now, the 2 halves of the onion are now flat on the work surface there. Now the next thing we said we were going to do is going to be take the hat off. So we've gone one way, we're now going to chop the other way. So to do that one, we're going to go from our bridge to our claw. So I'm going to put my claw over the feet and I'm going to slice the witch's hat off. Okay, so I'm going to do the same with the other one. Slice the witch's hat off. All right. Now we're going to these witch's hats. We're not going to just throw them away. We're going to compost these ones, and we can use those ones for when we're composting to get some nice growing happening in our gardens and veggie patches at home if you've got that. All right. So we can put our knife down safely now. I'm going to put it down at the end of my work area, and we're going to come back to the witch. All right, so you can see on the board there that we've gone one way and then we've gone the other way. We've got our bridge, higher so you can see. There we go. So we've got our bridge down and then we've got our claw across. Okay. So the next thing we need to start to get some of that papery skin off the outside. So if you can imagine, we've now got here, here is our onion with that witch's hat taken off. There's the feet. Okay, what we're going to do now is we are going to start to remove all of the skin of the onion. Okay, so we're going to start to peel back all of the skin of the onion there, and all of the skin is going to end up along the bottom here. We don't need to pull it off, but we're just going to remove it. So we don't need to use our knives. This one we can use our thumbs, and we're just going to get this while it's flat on the work surface. I'm going to lift it up a moment, but while it's flat on the work surface, get your thumb under and pull back the skin from where you cut the witch's hat off. Okay, so let's go back down to this one. So I'm going to use my thumbs and fingers, and I'm going to just pull back some of that skin, that outer skin. Okay, I'm going to do the same on the other. Just going to pull back some of that skin. Now, if it comes off the feet, don't worry, but otherwise I've just pulled it back. Okay. Now, that great thing about doing this, it reveals the next line we're going to use to cut. So let me just go back to my drawings there. We've done our bridge and our claw at the top, and we've now just pulled back all of this skin down here. The great thing about that is it now reveals the next cutting line, because when you do that, you'll see underneath the onion, there are little tiny grainy lines. Now, if I just show you this on the camera, hopefully you'll be able to see a little bit. So if I hold that up to the camera, you might just be able to see in the sunlight that there are lines running down the onion. You can feel them as well. You can feel those lines. They're just running down the onion. And that is our next cutting line. So we've gone one way, we've gone the other. We're going to go and pick up our knives again, and we're going to go with a bridge and then a claw again. Remember, that's not a claw. Put your thumb right back in, fingers over the top. That's your claw. Okay, so the first one we do is the bridge, and we're going to be cutting down these lines. Okay, we're going to be cutting down as many of those as possible. We're just going to cut down. Now, we're not going to go to the bottom here. We're not going to go where the feet is because we don't want to cry. So we're going to cut down about 3/4 of the way, or maybe 2/3 if you feel more comfortable, but 3/4 of the way down the onion, but not to the base. So here we go. So this is number 3. And this is also a bridge. So we're going to do that. And then after we've done the bridge, which is the down, we're going to do a claw again, going across the other way. So we're going to claw this way. Okay, so that's 4 claw. Okay, so we'll go down one way, then across the other. But again, you notice I haven't gone to the bottom. I haven't gone to the bottom because I don't want to cry. All right, so that's what I'm going to do next. So I'm going to pick up my knife now, safely picking up my knife. I'm going to form a bridge and I'm going to then do one way and then the other. I'll do it on one and then I'll do it on the second for you so you can all see that one. So I'm forming a bridge. I'm going to cut down as many of those lines as I can safely do, not going as anywhere near my fingers. Now you'll notice I'm not going right to the end because I don't want to cry. But I'm just cutting down as many of those as I can. All right. I'm going to do the same on the other one. So I'm just going to cut down as many of those lines that are revealed when I remove back the skin. I'm going to cut down them. Cut down, cut down, cut down, cut down, cut down, cut down. Okay. Now after my bridge, I'm going to turn my hand into a claw. Remember, that's not a claw. Thumb right back, fingers over the top. That's a claw. I'm going to put my claw over the base of the onion again, and I'm going to slice the other way. Games of noughts and crosses, this is. I'm going to slice it. But I'm not going to go right to the end where my hand is and where the end of the onion is because that'll make me cry. But that's not to say you can throw that bit away. We're going to use that bit and you can grow some more vegetables, or you can put it in the compost and recycle it and turn it into compost to use for our plants in the future. Okay. And that is how to cut an onion without crying, and the safest way. Okay, bridge and claw down the side here to recap on what we're doing before. Okay, I'm going to remove those pieces for the moment so that we can see what we've got going on the board there. Clean my work surface as we're going along. Now, on the board there, you've now got some beautifully cut up onion. And because it is a 6-sided cuboid, if I get one of these pieces, just hold it up to the camera so you can see. We've got a 6-sided cuboid there. Now, a 6-sided cuboid that sometimes has dots all over it is known as a dice. And this is a dice cut. Okay, so that is your dice cut there, going ready to go for your soup. All right, that's the first ingredient to go. Are we all happy with that? Let's just see, thumbs up, fingers, smiley faces. So let's have a look down the side, make sure everybody is happy with that before we move on to the next of our vegetables. That gets easier now. So after we've done that, that gets a lot easier. So I'm going to just put those into a bowl. Okay, let's clean our work surface and get onto the next one. That's my onion, my large onion, finely diced up for you. Okay, everyone happy at home? Everyone doing that one nicely at home? Hello, let's have a look. Right, let's have a look. There's got some messages coming down the side there from our bridge and claw there. Let's have a look. I'm going to move that one. Over there, sure, fantastic. So we're all happy, we're all going okay. So just a couple of messages down there saying that you're happy. That's great. Now, we're going to move on to the next vegetable. Now, I'm not crying because of the onion. Like I say, I've got a bit of hay fever because they've just been trimming the hedge over there. So apologies there. Bit of hay fever this morning. Right, we're going to move on though. We're going to move on. We're championing this one. So after we've done the onion, we're then going to go with a carrot or potato. Now, depending if you've got carrots and potato, and depending on what else you've got, you can either double up on the carrots and potato. That's fine. So if you've got no nettles and you want to just make this into potato and carrot with the onion on there and the top, that's great. Don't need to do the greens at all. Make this into a lovely creamy potato and carrot soup for lunch today. Yeah, so just double up instead of 1 carrot and one large potato. I've actually got 2 small ones instead of 1 large one, so I can show you a bit of demoing there. But carrots, potato, we're going to be doing next. So we're going to be trying to have a go with carrots and potatoes first. So let's go with the harder of the 2. Let's go with the, oh no, that's not. Let's try, what should we do? Carrots, potatoes, carrots. We're going to do with the potatoes first. We're going to do with the potatoes first. Let's do those. So it's a lot simpler than before. You're going to need a vegetable peeler. Now remember, these are like knives, so you might have them slightly different. You might have them this way, or you might have them crossways and down, forming like a Y. But we're going to be, again, the same as we were before. We're going to be cutting away from our fingers. Okay, so what I want you to do is we're going to be cutting these away from our fingers. We're going to just peel these ones down, and we're just going to peel them very slowly. No need to rush on this. We don't want any sliced fingers. So we're just going to very, very carefully. We're just peeling away. Okay, just peeling away, peeling away, peeling away. Slowly does it. Don't need to rush on this one. I'm just going to get those off. Okay, and get those peeled nicely. Okay, so I'm just peeling it ever so slowly. Don't need to worry about this. The last thing we're going to do is slip sliding away. So I'm just peeling away my potato. Okay, so I've just got my potato there, nicely done. I'll do the other one just so we've got another one to show you the next part as well. So just peeling away your potato. We're going to once we've peeled them, we're going to be dicing these up as well. This is going to be a lot easier than the onion to dice, and then the carrot is going to be the easiest of the lot to do. So I'm just peeling those away. Slowly does it. Don't need to rush this one. Keep your fingers and thumbs well away from where you're going. Try and go away from yourself. There we go. So we haven't got any problems. There we go. So you see that? One peeled potato. So we got the potatoes peeled. And then the bridge and claw with this one is so easy. So easy. Much easier than the onion down here. But we do need to start with the bridge and then go to the claw. There are rules about bridge and claws, and it's basically if something's not long and thin, we always go with a bridge and then a claw. Okay, if it's long and thin already, then you can go straight in with a claw. But it's bridge and then claw when it's long and thin. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. So let's get back to our potato. So we got a potato there. We are now going to do lots of bridges because we're going to hold it like that, and we're going to do lots of bridges. And then we're going to go bridges again when they've got flat pieces of potato. And then once we've done that, we'll then go claw once we've got long, thin pieces. All right, so let me just demo that one. So what we're going to do, come down to me here. So what I've got here is I've got my potato. I'm going to, let's get the first potato on there. I'm going to get my potato, and the first thing I'm going to do is hold it around its tummy, thumb and fingers, and I'm going to bridge. I'm going to bridge down as many pieces as I can. It's going to be a slip slidey, so I can hold them all there. But you can see what I've got there. I've got lots of sliced up pieces of potato. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put those pieces down on the side, and I'm going to cut those pieces into even thinner pieces. Okay, so it's bridge, and we're going to make them long and thin, like chips. You see that? They're like chips now. Do the same with the other ones. If you want to do a couple at the same time, if you feel comfortable, we're just going to turn these ones into, like I say, long chips. Bridging that one down. They're all long and thin. Bridging it down. So we're long and thin. Bridging it. I've got a whole load of chips going on here. I'm going to open my own fast food restaurant here. There we go. Now, can you see that there? I've got lots of these long, thin chips. Now, because they're long and thin, I can now put my thumb away, fingers into a claw, and I can now start to chop them into dice. So I can now chop them into smaller bits. Just move so you can see all those. There we go. So these are my chips. I'm now going to put my claw over the top, and I'm going to chop the other way. And a bit like you had with the onion, you've got your cuboid there, 6-sided cuboid. So this is my diced potato. Put those to the side. I'm going to get a couple more. Claw over the top. Going the other way. Okay, can you see that on the knife there? Wonderful diced piece of potato. I'm going to keep doing that one. While you do that one at home, make sure your thumbs remains right back, please. Right back, everybody. Don't want any thumbs to be coming out, because if you put a thumb out, that's when accidents happen. You see what's going to happen there? So we want to make sure that that is all diced up nicely. We'll do the same with the other potatoes so you can watch and see. So firstly, we go into bridge to make it long and thin. So we bridge down, firstly as many as we can. Okay, I'm bridging down. Moving about a bit, this one. Bridging down. Once I've bridged it down, I'm going to split those up. And we're going to do another bridge. Another selection of bridges to make them long, thin chips. Okay, keep doing that. Keep moving it along, chopping again, and moving it along, chopping again. Okay, so you can see if I split these up, we've now got long, thin looking chips again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the other way now. So once I've got those like that, I'm going to get my claw out. Here's my claw, thumb right back, fingers over the top. I'm going to chop these ones down nice and finely as well. Move those out of the way. And these chips here, thumb right back. I'm going to chop these ones and away. Again, my nice long chips. Thumb right back, finger over the top, chop them nicely down. And the good thing is we're practicing all of our chopping skills. So I'm going to be a bit here. Try and do a lot at the same time here. Thumb right back. Alrighty. That is my potato done. Okay, so potatoes done, onions done. So I'm going to put all of those on the side, get them into another bowl. I'm going to get, once we've done that, we're going to move on and we're going to get another bowl again, and we're going to do the carrots next. Okay, so let's move forward and do the carrots now. So another bowl, let's put the potato in there. Let's clean our work surface down, and we'll move on to the carrots now. You may have noticed something about the carrot. The shape of it. So we've got rounded onions, we have rounded potatoes. Well, there's my potato, there's my onion, all chopped up nicely. So carrots, long and thin or round? Well, could be argued that this is long and thin. Let me just get some more notes down there. There we go. Who have we got down there? There we go. Sorry, just scrolling down. Thumbs up, fantastic. So this is kind of long and thin. Now we're going to do something with it, same as we did with the potato. We're going to be peeling away first. So getting our vegetable peeler again. We're now going to be peeling away. So I'm going to obviously do this on the chopping board, but just so you can see what I'm doing there. Just going to peel all of that skin away. Let's go down so you can see what I'm doing. And once I've done that, just going to rest it on my chopping board, peeling away from my fingers again. Okay, so I'm just going away from my fingers. Just turn the carrot the other way around. There we go. Just peeling away from my fingers there. Oops. A little knobbly bit there. There we go. Okay. Now, depending on what your carrot shape's like, that's fairly long and thin. So if you've got a very long and thin carrot, you could go straight into a claw because it is kind of long and thin already, this one. The other one I've got is a little bit fatter, so we're going to have to do a bridge before we do the claw. But this one, actually, we can get away with going straight into a claw with. Okay, so I'm gonna go with this one for our soup, and now I'm going to just go straight into this one without a bridge. You see here. Now I'm going to go straight in with the claw, fingers over the thumb, fingers over the thumb like that, And I'm going to start at the narrowest end. Okay, so take the end piece off which we're not going to use, and then we're going to use all the other pieces here. And I'm just going to thin it. Now I'm going to, as I'm doing this, I'm just moving my fingers back a little bit each time I'm doing this one. So I'm just chopping it back nice and thin. You try and make sure they're as even as you can. There we go. So I'm going to try and make sure that they're even as tight as I can. And each time I'm moving my claw back a little bit more. I'm just slicing away. Thumb right back, chopping it a little bit more. Now, when your claw ends up coming off the end of your carrot, stop. Okay. This part, again, we can either compost or again, you can use this to grow more vegetables from. So you can plant these in and grow some more vegetables, put it in some water in a dish and wait for the carrot to start growing out of this one. Plant yourself some more carrots there. So don't waste that. But for our cooking today, we have got some sliced carrots. Okay, so we could dice those one if you wanted to. If you wanted to dice them, then you've got your circle there. So it's a circle, so you're going to need to go back to your bridge. Do a couple of ones there, and then you go the other way like you did with the chips and claw it the other way, and you could make it really teeny tiny small. But I think these are going to be okay as we go. I think some of these ones are going to be okay. You might say some of the bigger ones, you could do a bridge, oops, there we go, and a claw. Cut those ones down a bit more, there we go. But as we stand at the moment, these are kind of nice and thin already as we go. Now this carrot here is a bit bigger. All right, it's a big fatter one. So same as before, you'd need to slice it. So you need to peel it, and then you need to cut it up. But because it's slightly fatter, we can end up actually doing a bridge first, and a bridge the other way, and then do your claw back. Okay, so we're going to try and have a go with that one. So let's just show you what I mean with that. If you're following the recipe today, then only you need one carrot. But if you can't find any greens to go in the carrot, double up your carrots, double up your potato, make a beautiful soup with this one. Okay, so I'm just going to peel that one down. All right, here we go. So just going to peel that one through, peeling it down. Now you can see that is a lot thicker than the other carrot we had. So we are going to need to go, it's not quite long and thin at the moment. It's quite a thick carrot. We are going to need to bridge and claw it first, okay? So let me just move these ones out of the way. We're just gonna, there we go. Just gonna move all of those out of the way. Move that one. All right, so carrot. With this one, because it's long and thin already, sorry, not long and thin already, you're going to need to do a bridge first, then a claw. So you see it's quite a fat, chunky old carrot, this one. So we're going to start with a bridge and then a claw. Okay, so it's quite tricky because it's quite slippery, this one. But we're going to go with the bridge, and you're going to go down a whole long way. So I'd start halfway, flip it over, and do the other one, depending on how long and wide your carrots are. So I'm going to go halfway with my bridge, around the middle. And you can see what I'm doing there. I'm just doing it as I would do a normal bridge. So it's well out of the way, I'm cutting away from my fingers down onto the board. And then I've gone down halfway. Now I'm going to swivel that carrot around, still as a bridge. So it's going down between my fingers, not going to touch my fingers. Okay, now got two halves, but still quite chunky. So I'm going to do one more bridge on these. So here we go. I'm going to do a bridge there. Go all the way down. This is a lot thinner now. Now we've got a long, thin, more like the original carrot we had there, the first. So I'm going to do the same with the other one. Now, if you find your root vegetables are quite hard, there's another way you can think of things you can do. Is you could always microwave them for a minute just to soften them up if you find they're too hard to do there. Now they're long and thin already. All of these ones are long and thin now. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to chop with the claw. So thumb right back, fingers over the top. I'm going to slice it off. I don't need that end bit, and we're just going to. Don't try and go too fast. You want even cuts because we want them to cook evenly. Okay, so we're just going to chop back each time. I'm moving my fingers back a little bit more. There we go. Just moving them back a little bit more. Try and get as even a cut as you can. And then we've got the rest of our bags. Do the same again with this one. And just slice back.
Don't be tempted to try and go fast and show off. That's not required here. What is required is that you keep all your fingers and thumbs by keeping your thumb right back behind your fingers, and just ever so slowly and methodically and accurately we're chopping back. Okay, and we're nearly done. I'm going to do just show you. We're not going to need. I'm not going to do all of this, but I'm just going to show you what I'm doing so you can see the process we're going through to get this done. I think you all get that now. Carrots and potato. So we've got our carrots, we got our potato. So I'm going to put the potato in with the carrots. No, sorry, carrots in with the potato. There we go. You can see my carrot and potato mix there. I'm just going to mix that one in. So carrot and potato are now peeled and diced, ready to go. The onion is also diced, ready to go. I think we can head over to our cooking area in a minute. So we got carrots and onions. Let me just mix that one up so you can see. Carrot, onion, and potato. So I've got my onion in one bowl, and in the other bowl I've now got my carrot and potato. Brilliant. We are getting there. So well done, everybody. I'm doing really, really well. Let me just move down, make sure we got any more notes while we're doing this one. Long and thin. Yes, long and thin. Well done. You got that one. That is what we need to do before we start doing the claw on there. So we start. There we go. And there we go. We're ready to go. Now, if you want to know where we're up to on the recipe, let me just quickly whiz you back over to the recipe here and send that one live to you. And now. There we go. So you can see on the screen there that what we've done is the first few steps of the recipe here. We've done step number 1, where we've got the onions, and what we're going to do is going to saute those off. That means lightly fry them in a bit of block of butter, a little bit of butter, knob of butter, 25 grams would be about the same, about a tablespoon of butter. And then we're going to add the carrot and potato, and we're going to cover it in a pan and sweat these off. And so we're going to stir them in a pan just to let them soften, and then we're going to add some stock. So we're going to add 1 litre of stock to that one. So it's quite a bit of stock into this one. Let's have a think, depending on what you're doing. So that's 1 litre of stock if you're doing 2 carrots, 2 potatoes, and 1 onion. So you'd probably be okay with around about 500 to start with this one, but between 500 and 1 litre, depending on how big your potatoes are and how big your carrots are and how many of them you're doing. And then we'll go in with the nettles after that. So we're going to head over to the work area where we've got the hob next. You're going to need a pan on here, a frying pan and a pan. Okay, so we're going to head over to that, and we're just going to get that live for you so you can see what we're up to, and then we'll go from there. Alrighty, and there I am, and 3, 2, 1, and I'm back to you. Okay, so let's head over to the hob. I'm going to head over there now. We're going to take my bowls of carrots and onion with me, and I'm going to head over there, and we're going to get on with the next stage of the cooking. Okay, so here we go. Let's head on over to the work area over here. We're going to go over to the hob. Move those slightly out of the way, so you can see what we're up to. Yeah. Okay, so on the hob here, I've got the hob here going. You might just be able to see. Let's have a look. I've got a frying pan and I've got a pan. I'm going to be using these today. You're probably going to also need to get yourself a wooden spoon and everything ready to go. So here we go. We've got a few things going on here. We need to get together. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to be doing the onions. Okay, so we've got your chopped up onions. Here are my chopped up onions, and I'm going to put my chopped up onions into the frying pan. Before I do that, I'm going to be just putting in a little knob of butter into there, and then I'll put those in there and stir them away. Okay, so there's my hob. You might just be able to see there. Let's move that one out of the way and we'll come back to that. So let me just get yourself a little bit there of butter. It's going to go in with this one here. So I'm back to you. Hello, sorry there. So a knob of butter into the pan. Switch the pan on. Now, when you're doing this one, think about the hob handle. The handle needs to be
away from the heat, okay? So, and it needs to be also away from the area in which you're working. The last thing you want to do is that, oh dear, it's fallen on me, okay? So remember, the pan handle should not be like that. Otherwise, oh no, you're going to end up catching it. So keep that pan handle off the heat. Keep the pan handle away from where you're working, okay? So that we can, you can properly be able to do this one and do this one safely. So my pan is now heating up, just on the hob there. And what I'm going to do with that, I'm just going to put into that one a knob of butter, around 25 grams of butter. There we go, and then in that goes. So that's now just melting away inside my pan. You can just see that one melting away there. Just to coat the pan there. Once we've got the butter into there, we're going to, and that's all melted, we're going to get a wooden spoon or a wooden spatula if you've got one. Spatula would be better, but you can use a wooden spoon or a spatula, or if you've got one of these nice posh Teflon-y ones, that would work. If you've got nice ones there, you can use that as well. But you can just see that the butter is just melting off there nicely. There we go, just make sure it gets pushed all the way around there. Okay, so we're nearly there, and we're going to put the onions in there. Now the onions we're going to lightly fry. Okay, so we're going to very lightly. We just want them to soften up here. Don't want them to brown. So don't let them go brown. We're just going to gently soften them. Okay. You're in control of the heat at all times. Okay. So don't think that the heat is in control of you. Don't worry about that. There we go. There's my pan now. You can just see it. I'm holding it up so you can see it with the butter in. I'm going to put all of my onions into there, and we're going to soften those up off. There we go. Just going to soften those ones off now in the pan. Give them a stir until they're lovely and soft. Brilliant. You're in with. We're then going to be putting all of that butter and the onion in there into our saucepan. Okay, and with the saucepan, we're going to be then making all of our soup into. So get yourself a saucepan or a large pan. Let me grab. Oops. A large pan there. Okay, so I'm going to use this a large pan there so you can all see what I'm doing, but a smaller saucepan will be absolutely fine for this one. And we're going to be using that one to make our soup in. Okay, so that is just softening, just keep it turning, keep that onion turning. Saute comes from the French word to dancing. Okay, it's a dancing word, and it means to keep the onion moving in the pan. And like jumping in the pan, sauteing in the pan. We're going to keep it moving at all times. So it's from the French word. We're moving or dancing in the pan. Look, I'm dancing away beautifully in there, all lovely and softened up, but not browning. We don't want them to start to brown. If they are, you need to stop. You've gone too far. Okay, so there's my lovely onions there, sauteing off well. Okay, good. Now we're going to be putting those, like I say, into the pan, and we're going to be then putting the carrots and the onions in there as well. We're going to just let them all sweat off on a gentle heat, and we're going to add the stock to that. All right, so you should be at the same position now then, where I am, where you've now got your frying the onions for about 5 minutes, and we're nearly there, softening. So if they start to brown, stop. Then we'll get the carrot and the onion, and we'll mix all of that together, get it into a pan, keep stirring it so it doesn't catch. There we go. So these are now softening off nicely. All right, happy with that one. You can see that one in the pan there. They're looking beautiful there. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Lovely and softened. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Right, let's put the heat right down. Now in my pan, I'm going to be putting in the onions. Softened onion goes in there now. All the butter can go in there as well. If you want to save yourself time, you could always do the whole lot in a big pan, but just thought so you can see what I was doing there. I'm doing it in a frying pan, and then we're going to remove it in there. So we've got our onions softened up nicely there. Just starting to turn colour, but not going brown. So that's the caramels, that's the sugars inside this, the onion, the natural fruit, the fruit and vegetable sugars. And they're just starting to change into new sugars, and that change is what we call caramelization. You can actually keep it going for a lot longer if you wanted to make a caramelized onion soup, otherwise known as a French onion soup, where they do want the onions to be really dark and brown, and you can put loads of onions into that, loads of stock, and that's just onions and stock. Okay, no other, and we just make ourselves a beautiful French onion soup. But we're going to be going with a vegetable soup here, so I'm just going to move this, put this somewhere. This is hot, okay, so put it somewhere where you're not going to knock it or anything. I'm just going to put mine over at the draining board here, so it's out of the way. It's not going to melt the bottom of anything. So I'm just going to put that out of the way. Okay, now into my pan, I've got my carrots and my potato, and they're going to go into the pan all together with the onion. We're on a low heat now, but I'm just going to keep those ones moving. Really low heat now in the pan there. They're all in there, ready to go. Excellent, so they're all in there. Now, we're going to keep these ones sweating away. Okay, but we need to keep, while we're doing that one, we need to add some liquid into there as well. And the liquid we're going to add is what we call stock. Now, stock's a very strange one, isn't it? You may have seen these ones. I've got my stock jar here. Now, in my stock jar, I've got these little bundles, little silvery bundles are there. Now, this is what we call stock. So what is it? Well, what you've got in there is you've got potatoes and onions and carrots and lots of other vegetables, all squashed and squeezed into this one, dehydrated, take all the water out of them, squashed and squeezed into these packets. Now, you can also get chicken, beef stocks, all sorts. You can get liquid stocks as well now. It's a concentration of all the good stuff that you might have. So this is a concentration of vegetables in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to get some water back into it. So if I show you up to the camera there, so I've got there my little stock inside. Sometimes they come into cubes, rectangular ones. And what we're going to do is just to make sure that our vegetables are still stirring. Oh, there we go. Stirring away. They don't stick to the bottom of the pan. Just sweating those off for the moment while we talk. Okay, they're in there. Just make sure you keep stirring those ones. So that's our vegetable stock. Now, to rehydrate them, we need to get some stock water. Now, I said between 500 and a litre, depending on how big your vegetables are and how many vegetables you're doing. So the noise you can hear in the background there is a kettle just boiling up, and I'm going to put the kettle, hot boiling kettle water into a pot with my stock. I'm going to give it a little stir so it all starts to rehydrate, and then I'm going to pour that stock back in with my onions, carrots and potato. Give it another stir, make sure it's not sticking to the base. There we go. While I'm talking, just going to go back in there, just sweating off nicely in there. Just going to give them another stir. So I've got the potatoes, the onions, the carrots. They're on a low heat now, just sweating off while we get the stock ready that's going to go in there. Okay, that's stirring really nicely in there. It's starting to smell good. Okay. So what you need to do is you need to get yourself a stock, whichever sort of stock you're going to be using. So I'm going to be using a vegetable stock today because I'm making a vegetable soup. And I'm going to put my vegetable stock, just going to crumble it up into a little heat-proof jug here. You could use a gravy jug if you wanted to, a milk jug, something that's going to get heat-proof on there that's good for you. Now I'm going to put into this, got my kettle here, so somewhere safe, I'm going to pour my kettle, hot boiling water into here. I'm going to go in, start with 500 and I'm going to make it up to a litre. So I'm just going to do that over the top of the sink. Okay, just moving that up. Okay, so just doing that on the sink there, so it's not likely to spill. So I've now got in there boiling water with my stock. Just going to give that a good stir through. While I'm doing that, I'm going to go back to my vegetables, give them a good stir through as well. Make sure they're not sticking to the bottom of the pan. Oh, they're sweating off nicely. They're really looking lovely. And then we're going to combine the stock into there. Okay. All right. So let's go back while we're doing that. Why don't we just quickly revisit the recipe so you can see where we're up to and see what we're doing so far. Okay, here we go. And send live. 3, 2, 1, go. There we go. So you can see now where we're up to on the nettle soup. We've done the onion right at the beginning, step 1. We've fried off the onion in the frying pan. The carrot and the potato are now in with that onion, and we're just sweating those off in a large pan. And now I've made up my stock, which is boiling water, and it's in there is my stock cube, my vegetable stock cube. Now, if you haven't got any stock, that's absolutely fine. Just put a couple of large tablespoons of flour in with the water. Okay, stir that through with some boiling water and get that one in there instead. So if you haven't got stock, there's an alternative to you as well. Okay, so you're still going to end up with what we call thickening and a thickening agent in there, and that's still going to thicken up our sauce. It won't have quite the flavour as a stock will, but it will be able to thicken our sauce up really nicely. Okay, my stock cube is now disintegrating in the boiling water. It's started to thicken that and flavour that. My sweating is being done, so you've done that. We're now going to combine all these together before we start talking about nettles and greens. Okay, so we're on to number 5 now. Okay, back to me. And we're back to me. And 3, 2, 1, and go. No, there we go. There we are. I'm back. Right, so in my pan now, you can probably just about see I've got my carrots, my onion, my potato, all there, really starting to smell lovely. I'm keep stirring it so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. Now, to make that easier now, we're going to add the stock, and that will stop it doing that as well. Okay, so I've got my stock. The veggie stock's in there. I don't know if you can see that one, but I'll just have a quick look into there, see if you can see my veggie stock going on in there. Might just be able to see that one. Oh, just missed it up the camera. There we go. Right, so I'm going to pour my stock into my soup. Okay, all of that's in there. Now that is just going to be beautiful. I'm going to be around. I've gone with 500 and 500. What did I say? Between 500 and a litre. I've gone with 580, so about 600 in this one. Now I went with a couple of potatoes instead of one large one. There were a couple of smaller ones, and I've gone with a carrot and a half instead of one carrot. So I'm going to put a little bit more hot water in this one. I've gone 600 already. I'm going to put another 150, make that up to 750. So like I say, somewhere between 500 and a litre, depending on the amount of vegetables you're using, how much you'll want to make out of this one. It's up to you. So we're going to have a bit of a, you can make it personalised. So I'm going to just add a little bit more water, and just what this also means I can clean off the inside of my jug, so any remnants of your stock cube in there as well. Just going to pour in there another 150. All right, just going to give that a little swirl around, clean up any of the last of the stock that's in my jug. There we go. That's all the stock gone. I'm going to pour that into my mix. Okay. Now I'm going to just stir this one through, and we're going to let this one stew on a medium heat. Okay, medium heat. Just keep coming back to it, make sure it's going well. Now we're missing our key ingredient here. We're missing our greens. Like I say, now let's go through lots of different options here. Spinach, kale, watercress, frozen spinach, frozen kale can go into this one. That's absolutely fine. Or if you've got nettles, this is where we can go in with the nettles side of things. Nettles are really, really, really good. So let me just talk you through the nettles while we're going to move. While we're over here, actually, we can go through this one together. So let me just move this out of the way. Clean my sides down there. All right. So what we've got here is we have got loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of nettles. Okay, massive bowl of nettles here, huge amounts of nettles. I've got some more over here as well back here. Now, nettles. If you've not picked nettles before, there's a few things when we go foraging that you need to be really well aware of. Okay, so firstly, where are you going to get them from and what they're doing? Now, sea nettles are fairly easy to identify. Okay, but I'm going to just talk you through some basics. So, going out to get them, I would suggest you probably want to wear some gloves. I have got some beautiful yellow marigolds, but gardening gloves would be fine because I'm going to be washing these off anyway. So there we go, look at those beautiful marigolds works. So if you get some gloves, then you're not likely to sting yourself. But there is another thing as well, a little helpful hint here if you're cooking with nettles as well, and identify them. So I'll show you those as well. So get yourself, and if you don't want to sting yourself in the kitchen and you're really worried, you can get yourself some gloves on. That will be fine when you're using the nettles. There we go. Got some lovely marigold gloves. All right. Now let's look at a nettle. When you want to identify a nettle, so these ones were from last night. They're a little bit wilting now already, but we'll have a look. Okay, so we've got a nettle here. How are we going to identify this as a nettle? So obviously it's a stinging nettle, so stinging nettles has got the sting on it. But if you look at the leaves on this one, you'll notice that the leaves go one way at the top, then they go the other way, then they go 90 degrees one way, then they go 90 degrees another, and they go 190 degrees one way, 90 degrees another. You've got the traditional serrated leaf edge on the top there when you're identifying that one as that. It's furry underneath where you've got the sting, and onto the side of there, you've got that kind of rough, almost furry outside there. It's green, and this is a good time to get them. Okay, so this is stinging nettle. This is stinging. Now, what you're going to remember, the stinging nettle obviously is the sting. Now, stings point upwards. So when picking these, what I tend to do is I will go underneath the piece that I want to get, and I will give it a twist. Okay, and pull it up. I say the stings go upwards. So if you do that underneath the leaves and give them a twist, they're not going to sting you. Or, like I say, you can always wear gloves and do it that way. Where do you get your stinging nettles from? Obviously, don't make sure you're not going to be going to anywhere where you shouldn't be when you're getting your stinging nettles. There's a lot of areas that are in lockdown at the moment, and parks and such like you shouldn't be going to. Don't be going onto a farmer's area where you're not allowed to go. So go to only areas where you're allowed to pick them. Once you're in an area that you need to pick them, try and go for the youngest shoots possible. The youngest shoots possible are going to be tastier and less bitter. Also try and make sure your shoots are not too close to the floor where animals could urinate on them. Let's try and go with some slightly higher ones, but still the younger shoots. And let's go further back or higher up the bank. So I've been using the bank outside here, quite high up on the bank there. So there's no chance of that happening. I'm taking the top tips off them, and I'm going to be using them that way. Okay, so that's my nettle. Now, nettles are brilliant from a food point of view. Vitamin A, vitamin C, loads of iron for you, which is brilliant for you all at the moment. Fibre, jam-packed full of fibre. They're just like a superfood, okay? So really well worth using, and they're free. I mean, they're free, they're brilliant, they're free, and you can get them. You don't have to go to the supermarket to get them. You can get them from just down, if you're doing your your daily exercises, you can go and pick a load, get them in a big bag, and just cover them, using. These are ones from last night. We just went out on our exercise last night, did that one. So things you need to think about when you get them back. So I've got my nettles here. I'm going to go just give them a good wash. They've been outside, okay, so we haven't got the supermarkets doing the wash, so you need to do them. So just take the leaves off there, and we're just going to take the leaves off there and give them a good wash in a colander, okay? Colander is like a massive sieve, but with holes in it. Now, if you haven't got a colander, you can just use a sieve, that's fine. So I'm just doing at the moment, I'm just getting all those leaves, loads and loads of leaves, to do as well. Now, I did say, one of them I posted 400, one of them I posted 300. 300 should be fine to do this one. Depending on how much soup you want to make, you can make as much as you want to. But I would probably start with about 250 would be a good starting point. Now, this is a really good time of the year to be getting nettles as well. Later in the year, they start to flower. Okay, you don't want to be eating them when they are flowering. They're going to give you a bit of a sore tummy. Okay, so try and this is a perfect time to be getting them and getting all the nutrients from our nettles that are free of charge. Hurrah! And we don't have to go to the supermarket to get them. So this is what we call a bit of foraging food. If you are unsure whether it's a stinging nettle or not, do not do it. I'll say that again. If you're unsure if it's a stinging nettle or not, do not pick them, okay? Obviously, you also need to wash your hands thoroughly once you've been outside, as you would do normally at the moment, but make sure you properly wash your hands when you've been foraging as well. If unsure, don't do them. Get a grown-up to check with you. It's always good to double check on these ones, especially when we come to the next one in a minute, when we're going to talk about wild garlic, and we talk about some of the onions, wild onions as well, because that can easily make some really bad mistakes. So, but with the stinging nettles, you kind of probably know what a stinging nettle looks like already. You're probably quite confident on that one, and it's always a good one to start with when you're foraging. Now there's going to be a whole challenge for Key Stage 3 happening, which I've just finished videoing, which is all about foraging food and getting food which you can't get to the supermarkets for during our lockdown to increase our lockdown riders. So that will be happening, and that will be sent out as part of your Key Stage 3 passport on Friday. Okay, I think it's Friday, Saturday, you're going to get your new Key Stage 3 passport. And on there, I'm going to have lots of helpful tips and tricks about what you can eat at the moment from foraging. Another really lovely one to use at the moment is dandelions. Dandelions are brilliant, bright yellow. I've got a load stewing at the moment, and you can make honey and jam out of those. They're really, really yummy. So I'm using lots of dandelions at the moment. So that's another really good one for foraging. And obviously, again, you kind of know what those are. You can't really go wrong. You can actually eat the whole of the dandelion. You can not only just eat the yellow part, the lovely yellowy bit, you can also eat the stem. And later in the year, you can actually, the grown-ups here, you can actually eat the tuber part on the bottom and make coffee out of it, of all things. So dandelions are brilliant ones. They're great ones to use as well. And again, probably one you know a lot of. Other things that make are really sweet, primroses. Get some primroses at the moment. Primroses, which are bright yellow. So while I'm doing this, I'm just going to talk you through while I'm just getting these ready and washing these ones. Primroses are bright yellow, and you can get different colours as well, yellow to white ones normally, but you can get slightly different colours. They're really tasty. Give them a good wash, as we're going to be doing with these ones. Give them a good wash first, but really sweet and delicious. So I love a good primrose, especially again this time of year. They are absolutely great to go on tops of food as sweet garnishes, decorations, but also just to eat. I love a good primrose. What other ones have we got going on at the moment? Gorse. If you're up this neck of the woods, I'm on the other side of the estuary here. So I'm over at Woodbury Common. But on the other side of the estuary here at Woodbury Common, but you've probably got it there as well. Gorse. Gorse is great. Gorse has got a lovely yellow flower. It's quite prickly, so you have to be careful when you're picking it. But it's got a lovely yellow flower, which is really lovely in food as well. So that's a good one. What other ones are really lovely at the moment? Oh, blossom. Blossom is really good. So if you've got cherry blossom, apple blossom at the moment, you can make some beautiful syrups out of those. Boil those up again. Loads of recipes online you can use to get that one. I am just quickly chopping all these down. Here we go. I'm just going to go a bit faster on this one. So yeah, cherry blossom, apple blossom are all good ones to use. If you're using spinach for this one right now, so you can just make sure your spinach is all washed, or kale, if you're using that. If you're not using spinach, kale or nettles, you can just keep stirring your potatoes and your onions into this one. I'm going to go faster now. Here we go. Peel off all these ones. We don't want the stalks of the nettles. We just want lots of the leaves. So I'm just going to mash those up in a minute. There we go. Loads of stalks. But I just wanted to show you what they look like before we started to chop them all up and make them into our wonderful green. And the other good thing, and which comes about our challenge for all of Key Stage 3, so that for you, Year 8 and Year 9 at home, Talkie Girls Grammar, is the we're going to be trying to do some rainbow colours. So we're going to try and make our own edible rainbows using foraged food. So that's what is going to be happening, and we're going to show you how to do that one. I'm going to show you lots of other colours you can get. Blues is always an odd one. Where do we get blues from? Forget-me-nots. Again, at the moment, forget-me-nots are really, really good, and they're a lovely tasty one. I'm going to probably put some forget-me-nots from the garden on top of this soup myself. Again, lovely ones this time of year, brilliant. Okay, I've got loads of spinach in this now. Not spinach, loads of nettles in this one. I'm not going to need all of this one, I don't think. I've got a massive colander going on here, just to get this one into there. All right, let's peel this last one here. All right, there we go. All right, so I've got a massive colander here, huge colander full of nettles. Now I'm going to just give these a good wash down. Give them a good wash, clean through. Oh, okay, they are looking lovely. Let's give those a good clean through. Loads of lovely nettles, loads of nettles. Now I'm going to put those nettles in with my mix over here now. So let's move this one through. So over here, just going to swivel that camera around. So in they go, all those beautiful nettles, spinach in there. That's all going to go into there. Here it all goes, loads and loads and loads. I love it, so nutrient rich. It's beautiful. Let's get all of those in there. Well done, excellent. I've done very well. Loads of nettles in there. We're going to put those ones in. Fabulous. So lots and lots of different nettles in there. Okay, so while we're doing that one, let's have a look at some of the other things you can also put in there. So I'm just going to put in there. We can also put some wild garlic in there before we start to make this one as well. So let's talk about some wild garlic. Now, wild garlic. And I'm going to show you one other thing. In fact, I might not use the wild garlic today. What I might do is I might just show you the onions as well. I've got some out in the back garden. In fact, well, should we go to the back garden? Do you fancy coming with me to the back garden? Let's go to the back garden. Okay. I'm going to grab the key there, and I'll go and grab some. I can show you some of the other forget-me-nots and some of the other plants that we can put into our foods here and into our soup. So let me just go out and I'll show you some of the things I picked yesterday. So, oh, this is interesting. I haven't been outside for any of my classroom ones yet. So here I am, and what I've got here is I've got some different veg things you can use. So we'll probably use, we've got some mustard there. So this is wild mustard. I don't know if you can quite see that one on the camera there. We have some wild mustard there. And we're going to use, I think we're going to use this one. Yeah, we'll use this one. So this is wonderfully floral. This one here is what we call a bulb onion. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not going to use wild garlic in a minute. So I'm just going to take this one over to the kitchen as well. Again, this is a good wash. Right. Now, what we've got here is bulb onion. Okay. Bell onion. So bell onion. Now this is growing loads in the hedgerows at the moment. What you want to be looking for is it looks a bit like a bluebell, but it's got massive big bells on there, very, very thin leaves, and it smells of garlic and onion. Okay, that's important. It smells of garlic and onion. And with all of these, check that they're grown up before you start using them. And I'm going to use these like I would use spring onions. Okay, and I'm going to put those in there instead of, and you can use wild garlic as well if you want to, but make sure your grown-ups know what wild garlic is. And the reason that you need to be so sure with wild garlic, now wild garlic has also got a white flower on it, massive leaves, but can get very easily, very, very easily confused with lily of the valley. Now, lily of the valley is very, very poisonous. I'm going to say that again. Lily of the valley is very, very poisonous. It's a big green leaf with a little white bells on the top. We've got a very thin leaf, and this one, the lily of the valley doesn't smell of garlic or onion, so that should be a good sign, first of all, that that's the wrong one. But it's also got a massive leaf, and it looks like a bluebell. That's the wrong one, okay? Garlic looks like little white daisies, and it's got a massive leaf. So with the garlic, make sure your grown-up knows. Otherwise, this is a nice easy one. This is a very thin leaf, looks like bluebells, and in fact you can actually eat bluebells as well if you wash them down. But we're going to use this one. This is looks like a little white bluebell, but very thin leaves, and it smells really pungent of garlic and onion, So I'm going to put some of this in there. I'm going to give it a good wash first. So some of these ones I picked last night. So again, with all of these things, you need to make sure you give everything a good wash first. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that is properly washed off. Okay. You don't want to get yourself any illnesses on this one. Now, I've been doing this for a while, so I know what I'm looking for. Nettles, you can't really go wrong, but you can with wild garlic. So just be very careful with wild garlic. But this one's a nice one. I'd say this is sometimes called three leaf or tri-leaf leek, but I know it as bell onion, and it's got like a little onion on the bottom there, a bit like spring onion. Now, if you're unsure, you can always go with just spring onion. Spring onion works just as fine. So I've now got some of that in here to properly wash that one. Let me just make sure it's again. You can't overwash these things. Make sure they're properly washed. Okay, I'm going to put some of those in with my pot with the soup. So I'm just going to crush up some of those, put those in there. Now you can just use some scissors. There we go. Just going to chop those up. Just chop them up as you would do spring onions. You can go quite up, and they actually smell so much like onions and garlic. Now, if you haven't got any of those, you can just use chopped up garlic to go in there, like we said in the first step number 1. So I'm just going to put some of this. This is called onion. I say this is a bell onion, or sometimes called 3-leaf leek. But if you're unsure, don't pick it and don't eat it. All right, just make sure you've got a grown-up who does know what they're doing if you're going foraging, and make sure you follow the rules and regulations about keeping yourself safe. All right, so in with this one now. I'm just going to give it a little stir. We've got, let's stir that all up. We've got in with that one now. We've got our nettles. We have got. I've not done wild garlic today because I say I don't want to do it. Maybe when we get to year 9 and 10, it's easier to. But I want you to make sure you're not going to be becoming ill. So rather than using wild garlic, I've just used bell onions, or you could use spring onions in with this one as well. I'm just going to quickly return to our film so you can see where we're up to. There we go. Okay. So we just got some comments down there. Are the carrots still meant to be hard? Can we use spring onion? Yes. So you can use spring onion. That's absolutely fine. Are the carrots still supposed to be hard? Yes, we've got to make our scones now. So you can see, let me just get that one from the recipe up on there and send that one live so you can see where we're up to on the recipe. Okay, you can now see that we have now got to leave all of this. So we're going to leave this one for about, we said 10 minutes first of all, and then it says another 2 minutes, 12 minutes. Let's leave this one for 15 minutes, and then we're going to puree all of that one through. So I've just got all of that going away nicely in there, and I'm going to now get on with making some scones while we just leave that be. Just leave that for the moment, let that one do its business, and we're just going to just get that one into there. I'm just going to put some of those in. There we go, loads of those in there. So just leave it for the moment, and we're going to move on to the scones. So for the scones, we're going to leave that one just to bubble away onto a slow heat. So now moving on to the scones. So you can see now we need to be getting our flour and marge. It's a nice easy recipe. So I will get you to do this one really easy. Self-raising flour is ideal, but if you haven't got self-raising flour, like I say, you can always add the baking powder element to this one. So don't worry about that. Just going to push that one in there and get some of these ingredients out. So I'm just getting some of the ingredients out while we do this one. We're going to be sieving. Sieve is not optional. You don't need to sieve it, but it just makes sure you give a lovely consistency when you're doing this one. Okay, so you don't need to sieve it, but if you can, fabulous. That will just help it to aerate it, but also get it down. I'm just going to let you get all your ingredients together for the next bit. Give you a couple of more minutes to get everything together. Okay, so you should now be ready to go. If everyone's ready to go, we'll move on to the scones. And while they're in the oven, we can get on with making the rest of the soup, pureeing that down, and then we'll serve it with the scones when they come out of the oven. Okay, that's the idea for today. So you've been learning about different cutting skills today, the bridge and the claw, revisiting safely to do those ones, looking at foraging for the first time and finding things sustainably growing. And things that are in season. So different things are in different seasons. Remember I said nettles are in season at the moment, but given later in the year when they start to flower, you don't really want to be picking them. You're going to give yourself a tummy ache if you do that one. So just make sure things are in season. Like I say, primroses are in season at the moment, which are great. So these are all nice sort of end of spring things to do. Lots of other foods are in season at the moment. Rhubarb, my rhubarb's just coming up. I don't know about anyone else, but my rhubarb's looking beautiful at the moment. There we go. Lots of things you can cook with. All right. Right, back to me now. So you should have all your ingredients together. I'm going to go back to me, and we're going to go back to the scones. This is a nice quick scone recipe for nice cheesy scones. I'm just going to give that one more last stir. Okay. That is doing well. Don't worry if the carrots are still hard. They won't be when we finish doing our scones. All right, that's looking lovely. Let's go back over and make our scones then. So back over to my work area, and we're going to be having a quick little go at making some quick scones while we wait for that to boil up nicely. Okay, back to me then. All right, so now we're going to do make the scones. This shouldn't take too long, and then we'll be through. Obviously, it's a double lesson today, but we should get through a little bit earlier, I think. So what we need to do with our scones, very simply, we need to get our flour together first, and we're going to be looking at 125 grams of flour. So let me just get my bowl there. Here we go. And we're going to be putting into that one 125 grams of flour. Just put my wet surface down. Okay. Now, you might be thinking, I haven't got any scales at home. That's fine. If you haven't got any scales at home, you can always measure this out by hand. Now, an easy way to remember this one, if you're doing this one by hand, is that's around about 100 grams for you girls at school. So if you're looking about doing that one, that's about 100 grams. Okay, let me do this one. Nearly done. Let's get one onto grams. There we go. So we're just going to pour that one in here, and we want yourself 125 grams of flour. And if we can sieve this one, it'd be great, but we just want to be doing this one nice and quickly. Scones there for you. Just going to get some more flour. Now, if you're wondering where you get your flour from, I'm using the same school supplier the same supplier we use at school at home now. So if you wanted to do it, they do deliver, and they deliver lots of it. Okay, let me just get some of that. Oops, that's my front doorbell. All right, I'm at home here. Right, so I've got 125 grams of flour there. Now, in with that, I'm going to be putting 50 grams of butter. This is a really quick recipe for you to do, so I'm going to show you very quickly what to do. So we've got 125 grams of, 50 grams of butter. Now, we have to say what the supply was. Sorry, Bidfood. If you use Bidfood, Bidfood, they do next day delivery, grown-ups, and they've got tons of flour, eggs, tomatoes, chopped tomatoes, baked beans, a lot, all those essential ones you were looking for. They do next day delivery, register online as a grown-up, and Bidfood deliver all the baking essentials that you would normally have and we have in school. And it's very, very good. It's about 75p for a bag of flour, and they've got loads in stock. Anyway, so coming back to the fat, you need to be getting 50 grams of fat. Now, the good thing is with a lot of these fats, it actually tells you on the outside. So again, if you haven't got scales at home, this is an easy way of doing that one. So you measure off 50 grams, and in that goes there. So I'm just going to, don't even need to weigh this one. I can just go straight in. 50 grams of fat goes into there. All right, 50 grams of fat in with the flour. Nice and simple. You need a rounded butter knife, and your rounded butter knife is here. And what you're going to do with your rounded butter knife, you are going to cut it in. So the easiest way to do this one to keep the maximum control of your bowl is get your bowl in a headlock like that. And we're just going to chop these up teeny tiny small. So I'm just going to chop those up teeny tiny small. Okay, and what I'm using, I'm using a rounded butter knife. Let me see so you can see what I'm doing there. Rounded butter knife, chopping those in teeny tiny small. Okay. Now, how small should they be? They should be about the size of, you know, when you eat rabbit poos. No one eats rabbit poos. M&Ms, sultanas, raisins, that kind of thing. We want to chop them up that sort of small. Okay, so I'm just doing a cutting in. This is actually a technical process called cutting in, and it's called cutting in because it involves cutting in. Okay, now we're not going to get our fingers into the butter first of all. Why are we not going to get our fingers into the butter first of all? Well, very simply, if we get fingers into the butter first of all, it will melt the butter. We don't want to melt the butter just now. We're just going to get that chopped up teeny tiny small. Okay, so I'm chopping this up teeny tiny tall. You can use this in a food processor, but we're learning some skills here. We're cutting in. Okay, so once we cut in, to ensure you've got all those lumps cut down, give your bowl a little tap on the work surface. Not a hard one if it's a glass bowl, but a little tap, and any of the large lumps will come to the top. So give those ones, chop those up teeny tiny small. All right, there we go. Chopped up, 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 chopped up. Give it a little tap on the work surface. Okay, that's nearly there. Now you might be seeing that we're actually working this into a kind of a crumble base. So if you've ever made crumble before, this is kind of the same sort of start as you might find for a crumble. There is my bowl. I've done all the cutting. Next stage, I'm now going to do my rubbing in. You need your pinchy fingers, little pinchy fingers like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our pinchy fingers. Oops, there we go. We're going to use our pinchy fingers like that, and we're going to be lifting and tickling. It's called rubbing in. All right, so this is what we're going to do now. We're going to get our fingers and we're going to give them a little tickle. There we go. And give our flour a little tickle. Let me move that down so you can all see. And I'm going to lift and tickle, lift and tickle. I'm just giving this a crumble. And each time I lift and tickle, I'm giving those little bits of butter a little tickle. And I'm breaking them down and making them even smaller still. Okay, so there we go, year 7. I'm just going to break these down even teeny tiny small. I'm just going to break them all down
teeny tiny, lifting and tickling, tickling and lifting until it's teeny tiny small. There we go. Can you see there? I'm just going to go, and the higher you get, the more air you're going to get into the mixture as well, as you would have done if you sieved it as well. You've got more air into it, but we're going to just very, very quickly now do this one while our soup is wonderfully stewing away over there. Okay, so I'm just going to lift and tickle, tickle and lift, lift and tickle. Just going to give that a good rubbing through. There we go. Can you see what I've done there? Just going to give that a rub. And I'm sure you've made crumbles before. And we want to just make our butter disappear, okay? So we want to just keep lifting and tickling, rubbing in, this process of rubbing in, because it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's going to be rubbing in, does that. That is exactly what the process and the skill of rubbing in is. It is just rubbing the butter and the flour together. So the butter disappears altogether and you're left with a crumbly, sandy mix, okay? It's not sand, it's kind of a crumbly. Have you ever been to, oh, what's a beach near by to us down here? Blackpool Sands. So it's not quite sandy, but it's not quite pebbly. That's the kind of thing we're looking for. If it starts to turn yellow, stop. It means the butter's starting to melt. Okay, so I've now got my wonderful mix there. So that's the start of my mix for my scones. I've cut it in, I've rubbed it in. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add into that some of my flavouring. So I'm going to go into that some cheese. So I've got 50, I'm going to put in there 50 grams of cheese. So I've got my cheese there. And I'm just going to measure in there 50 grams. So get yourself a cheese grater. Here we are. Now it's teeny tiny little cheese grater, teeny tiny little cheese grater. Or we can go with a bigger cheese grater. There we are. Let's go with a bigger cheese grater. I'm going to probably go with. If you've got an option on your cheese grater, I'm going to go with the largest of the sides there. Okay, and I'm going to go in there with 60 grams of it. So I'm going to just measure. Sorry, 50 grams there. I'm just going to do that. There we go. Now, if you are going to use one of these commercial suppliers for your ingredients, which is a really good one, like Bid Food, other ones you could use, so other ones that supply pubs and restaurants that are out there at the moment and still got the ingredients and for baking, and you can use those. They're always good to go to. You could try emailing your local pub or restaurant that's nearby to you or within walking distance of you, see if they can negotiate, get you some baking gear. And we've done that one with our pub down the road, and then we can walk to it, and they've left it outside so we can collect it. So we've given out sourdough around the village, flour deliveries around the village, so you can help each other out there. So looking out for yourself in these weird times. Okay, so I'm just gonna put all of that cheese into there. So where are we up to? We're on to 20 grams of cheese there. Just gonna keep going down with my cheese. There we go, nearly there. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So yeah, all good places to try and get your ingredients at this time of the time if you can't get out to the supermarket. So I'm really quite looking forward to going to the shops when this whole thing's finished. It's gonna be a bit weird to be able to do that again. What it will be weird is to see you all. That'd be lovely to see you all again. Right, 50 grams. So in with that, I've got my 50 grams, in with my breadcrumbs, and that's all ready to go. Now you can cut and turn this all together, and we're going to add some milk into this one. We're going to add 50 millilitres of milk, so let me get some milk. I've got some milk here. Here's my milk. I'm going to put into that 50 millilitres of milk. And you might not need all the milk, okay? You just want to bind all that ingredients together. Now at this point, if you've got some more of those nettles, let's whack them in. I'm going to go and grab some more of those nettles, put them in there, chop them all up, and then we're going to mix them all together in with this. Now, the only thing that somebody's just reminded me that I haven't put in there is some more baking powder. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of additional baking powder into this one. So I've got my baking powder here. I'm going to put a little bit more of the baking powder into this one, and I'm also going to put some more nettles into this one because I do love a good bit of nettles. It's really lovely, great iron, AC, fibre. It's really good for you. So I'm just going to grab a couple of those, and then we're going to put those ones into there. Any extra ingredients you want to, you can also put some spice in there. A little bit of paprika is quite nice in there. A little bit of nutmeg with these nettles works really nicely as well. But if you've got none of that, just go with cheesy scones. That's fine as well. So we're just going to grab some of those nettles and put those ones in there as well. Okay, so whatever you've got in there, you can do that. Let's check on my pieces there. Let's go with that. Okay. Oops, lots in there. Let's make sure we've got that. Around here, I'm just going to get those ones for you. I'll be with you in a moment. I'm just going to get the rest of my nettles in there. Put some nettles in there, give them a good wash. There we go. And check my soup while I'm at it. I'm still here, everybody. Just going to check my soup, how my soup's going. Oh, that carrot and potato is looking lovely now. Colours are looking lovely there.
Okay, so I'm back. Hello, I'm back. Right, so in with that one, I'm just going to be putting some more of my washed nettles in there. I'm going to chop those up. There we go. Put some nettles in. If you want to put some kale in this one again, you can do. You can flavour. To tell you what's not an odd one, you might not think of me putting into scones. Bacon. Bacon's really nice to go in with that. And also in with the soup as well, which seems an odd mix. But you can also, I said to somebody earlier, you can also put in some bacon instead of green vegetables into your soup, which is actually beautiful. A little bit of cheese and bacon in the soup. If you don't have cheese and bacon soup, that's an odd one, but it really works nicely. Okay, so I've just put into there some more nettles because I love nettles at this time of the year. Here we go. So we've got nettle scones with nettle soup, all nettles together. There we go. In they go. In they are. All of those in. Here we go. I'm going to chop those up a bit more. So you can see in there, I've now got nettles, cheese, in with that. Just going to chop those up really lovely so it all mixes up. And I'm going to add my milk to it. Now, depending on what your ingredients are, depends on how much milk you need to add. But I'd always go with less milk rather than more milk. Okay, that's my nettles in with that. Now add a little bit of milk into this now. I'm going to be adding a little bit of milk until it comes together. So how do you know? Grab your knife, stir it up. Okay, until it all starts to bind together. So let me just show you so you can see that on the camera. So what I've got here now is I've got going to be putting in my liquid. So it just binds together. Now also I'm going to put into there is I'm going to put into there a little bit, just 1 teaspoon of extra baking powder. Now the scones themselves have got baking powder in the self-raising flour, but I'm just going to add another spoonful of the baking powder in there as I add the milk into there. The milk and the baking powder will react, so we're going to put that in the last minute. There we go. And they're just starting to combine. Let's put a bit more milk into that. Stir in our milk. Doesn't matter what sort of milk you're using. You can use skimmed, semi-skimmed on this one. It won't really affect it. Full fat if you want to, a slightly creamier there with the creamy cheese. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to put a little bit more in there. Just keep stirring it with the rounded butter knife until it comes together into a ball. All right, don't over it. If you do over, just put some flour in it and bring it back together. But you don't want to really always try and go with less liquid and then build it up, rather than the other way around and trying to put flour to try and accommodate it afterwards. Okay, good. So we've got nettle, cheese, scones there. Let's just come together into a ball. You can just see that in a ball there. Okay, so that's my dough ball. Fabulous. Now the next stage is we're going to just, we don't need to roll it out. We don't need a rolling pin on this one. Put a bit more flour on the work surface. A bit more flour on there. A bit more flour on the work surface, a bit more flour on the top. Now I'm just going to flatten that one out so they're even sizes. Let's move them into a ball again. There we go. Flatten out so it's an even sizes all the way across. Brilliant. You can just see that that's even. We're looking about a large finger's depth. Okay, or unless you like really large one, you can do a finger and a half, but I would say a large finger depth. Try and make sure it's even all the way through. If you want to use a rolling pin, you can use a rolling pin there. If you've got a rolling pin, use some cling film. That's always a good one. Or you could even use a glass bottle to roll it out if you haven't got one of those as well. Then you can use some pastry cutters to make your scones. Now, if you haven't got pastry cutters, that's fine as well. Why not use some old tuna tins? If you've got those at home, they work really well as well. So tuna tin or anything else you can use to cut out your large circles. If you haven't got anything at all, then you can always cut it into squares. There's nothing that says a scone has to be circular. It can be square as well. So I'm just going to cut out a couple of those. So I'm going to do a couple of big round scones here. There we go. There's one of mine. I'm going to put that onto a tray. I've got a tray there. I'm going to put a bit of greaseproof paper onto my tray. And then we're going to get that one into the oven. Now, your oven needs to be 220 degrees. So when we get over there, 220 degrees or gas mark 8 is what you want to be looking for. I'm just going to put some greaseproof paper on there. Okay, greaseproof paper onto the tray there. Nice and simple. Scones onto greaseproof paper, like that. Let's do a couple more. Go serve it nicely with our soup.
And we're nearly ready, nearly done for your lesson today. I know we're getting through it as quickly as we can. Just going to cut out another one there. Another scone there, and then we just put that mixed together and make one more, I think. Yeah, we can get another one out of that. Let's squeeze that one in. So, got our final scone. 4 scones in there. You can make larger ones. Scones or scones. Scones, and then there's scone when you've eaten them. Boom, boom. Okay, so we're nearly done there. Now, before you get these into the oven, please make sure you preheat your oven to 220. I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to glaze them. So let me just turn my oven to 220. Right, oven's on 220. So 220 or gas mark 8 if you're using gas. Then what we're going to do now with this final bit for these ones, we're going to, before we bake them, just going to brush them with a little bit of egg or milk. So depending on what you've got. If you haven't got a pastry brush, just use a paintbrush, a clean paintbrush you've not used before, or just wash one up. We don't want different colours on there. So an old paintbrush would work fine if you haven't got a pastry brush. And then you want to get into there a little bit of milk or egg. So I'm going to use a little bit of milk, but if you want to use some eggs as well, just get a little bit of the egg. You could use some egg yolk. Egg yolk works nicely with this one. Okay, so I'm just going to put that one into a little bit of a dish. Put the milk there. I'm going to get my brush with my milk on there. I'm just going to do a glaze on the top there. There we go. If you want to put an extra milk cheese on the top, you can do as well. Why not? Why not? These would be yummy to go with our soup. All right. There we go. So glazed, ready to go in the oven. That's some nice little scones to go with our soup. We're going to put these in the oven on the way through, and then we're going to come on and we're going to finish off the soup. Okay, so let's come with me. Come with me. Come with me. Over to the other side. Okay. So in we go with these. Don't forget, when you get using the oven, you should be using oven gloves as well when you're getting things in and out of the oven. So I'm just going to do that one while I'm talking to you. So oven gloves, preheated oven now. In the scones go. Mine's a very fast oven to do. In they go. That's a really good question. How long should they be going in for? So thank you. Someone just pinged in. You haven't said how long they need to go in for. No, I didn't. So they need to be going in for about 20 minutes. Okay, so about 20 minutes for that one. Okay, back over to our soup. Now you'll see now the soup should be just about ready to go. We're going to finish that off while we wait for our scones to go. So I'm just going to give that another good stir. Now, hopefully at this point, your potatoes and carrots should be nicely stewed off. Now we got a few questions down there. No, that's good. So yeah, you have a look at your soup now. I'm just going to give it another good stir there. Should be really, really lovely there. Just starting to soften down. The carrots should now be a lot softer in there. So who was saying about the carrots? Yes. Sophia, did you want to just say? How are yours looking now? Are they softened now? Let me just have a look. How's yours with in your kitchen? Do you want to just let me know? Just gonna whack my heat up a little bit, just that last little bit there. Are you happy now, Sophia? Are they nicely softened for you now? I think she's just typing there. Okay. So mine, I'm just going to quickly give that one last blast of heat onto there before we move on to the next thing. Now, the next thing involves a blender. So again, please make sure you speak to a grown-up here. We're going to be going back to, let's shoot back to the recipe, just so you know where we're up to. Here we go. The last little bit of today. That was the scone recipe. You can see we've got those in there now. So with the last bit of this one, we're going to remove from the heat and blend using a stick blender. Okay, and you can add a little bit of milk to this one too, and return it to the heat. But so we're going to just puree this one off. So we're right down now at year number 8 and number 9. Okay, so let's get back to me and let's get the stick blender. Now, if you haven't got a stick blender, you can always use a blending machine. So I've got a couple of options here. You could use
we've got a stick blender. So we've got a stick blender here. I'll just put that one on there. So you can use a stick blender if you've got one of those to go into it when it's taken off the heat. If you haven't got a stick blender, that's what a stick blender looks like. You could always use a little blender. I've got a little one here, so let's just show you what that looks like. So I've got a little blender here, so with an end to it. So that's got a little sharp knife, and then be very careful with that. It goes on top, and we can blend it that way. Or if you haven't got any of those things, don't worry, because you can do it the old-fashioned way and use a masher. Okay, that will mash everything up as well and just start hammering it in when it's off the heat. Okay, so it's entirely up to you. I'm going to have a go with a stick blender on this one. I'm just going to turn the heat off, and then we'll have a go and put that one together for you. And I'll post some pictures of what these look like. Now, girls, you're doing really, really well. Your scones are in the oven. Let me get them on. Okay, so your scones are in the oven, which is brilliant. So we're ready to eat those. Your soups just needs blending up, pureeing, blending up. A little bit of cream or milk to this one would be lovely. So you can just do that one yourself, but as you want to make that one look amazing. So it's entirely up to you how you want to do that one. So we can just add a bit of cream to it. You can add a bit of milk to it, whatever you fancy with that one, just to make it a little bit creamier. You can garnish it with daisies, forget-me-nots, the little blue ones, which are lovely if you've got those in the garden, and make that one up. So I'm just going to turn the heat off here. Going to finish this one off for you all. So we're just at the end of the lesson now. So we're coming to the end of today's lesson. I'm going to just turn that off the heat now. I'm going to get that one in. I'm going to just start to use my stick blender to blend this all up nicely. Oh yeah, my carrots and potatoes are looking lovely now. They're really mulching down beautifully for the soup, which should go so nicely with those breaded scones that you've made as well. And this is looking creamy as well and smelling absolutely delicious. It's turning a very lovely shade of green wine at the moment. So I've got my heat off now. Just gonna blend that one up nicely. So we've got a lovely smooth mix there. Now, how are we all doing on yourself? Let's move that one down. Yes, they're soft. Well done, Sophia. Good. I thought they would be. I'm glad they're good. Right. I'm going to just blend all of that up. It almost looks like a pesto now, which is great. Okay, mine is done. Brilliant. Just gonna there we go. So let's put the stick blender somewhere safe. All right. So I don't know if you can quite see this one. I'm going to ladle this one so you can see it. Ladle there, so you can just have a quick look at some of what we got there. We have got a beautiful green. You can see that, just that beautiful green soup going on there. Now, with all of these things, it's good to just give them a good test at this point. A little bit of salt and pepper, just check that they're okay. A little bit of seasoning, it's always good. So I've got some salt and pepper there, and we're just going to give it a little taste and then a little bit of seasonings as we require. So I'm just going to have a little taste of that one. Oh, that is good. That is good. That is good. It does need a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of pepper into that. And maybe a tiny bit of salt. Okay. Right, let's have another little taste. Let's grab another spoon. Let's have a little taste. Don't get no double dipping in this one. Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. Right. So you should now have a beautiful bright green soup, or if you've not done that, you've done potato and it'll be like a creamy colour one. Now, if it's a creamy potato and carrot one, I would just add a little bit of cheese on there. for seasoning and flavouring. You could add some cheese into this one. I'm going to add a little bit of milk into this one just to make it a little bit creamier. You could add some cream into there if you've got a little bit of cream, and just stir that one through to make it a little bit creamier as well. It's entirely up to you. The scones will be ready. We'll be ready in about probably another 10-15 minutes. Okay, so nearly done as well. There is nothing better than a large, big bowl of beautiful, colourful, and delicious and nutritious soup, and a nice warm scone to go with it. Nice cheesy scone to go with it. That should be all you need to do, and you can then enjoy that one for lunch or break today. If you were watching this at Talkie Girls Grammar, I need some photos. I want to see all your photos, and if you can think of something to garnish this with, that's some nice pretty flowers on the top, that would be great. I need to see your photos. You need to post those photos to me either back through Teams here, or you can email me those photographs as well. The best of those photographs, as always, will appear on the Facebook for the school at Talkie Girls Grammar. If you're watching this on YouTube, please email me through your photographs. That would be great to see those ones too. If you're watching these back again through either any school, it's always good to see what other schools are doing as well on the back of these and how theirs turned out. So please feel free to email me those photographs as well, and we'll get as many of those online as possible. You've been brilliant. Thank you very much. I want to see what you've cooked. I will post some pictures of how mine turned out when I've decorated it with some little flowers from the garden, some wildflowers from the garden. Have a go with this one. Don't forget your cutting skills. Don't forget your bridge, your claw. Remember when you need to use those on some fruit and vegetables and how you use those ones. And think about some of the other things we've used today, cooking methods. So we've used an oven, we've used a convection oven, mechanically assisted convection oven. We've used the pans through conducted heat onto the pans there, and we've used pans for doing our heats here, and we've used a frying pan as well. So we've used a few different processes there as well to learn through today. Hope you've enjoyed that one. As with all of these ones, please, 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 please take care, stay safe at these peculiar times. Take care, stay safe, look after yourself, look after other people around you, okay? And we'll be back and see you very soon. Thank you very much. Cheers. Goodbye.